Hey, everybody. This is Crew Call 5-8, and we're here with our buddy Chef Dan Notley of Yelton Models. He's a very interesting guy that I had the pleasure of meeting at the latest New England RPM, and we'll talk about some of the craziness that went on at that point as well. We've been trying to plan this for, I guess, several months, but I made the unpardonable sin of postponing a recording with a similarly busy guy. So this is like the first chance we've had to resume. So Dan, it's glad you could get back on board. Good to talk to you. I haven't gotten any less busy in the interim, but here we
You're
are.
fine.
Now you call yourself Chef Dan. Let's get that out of the way. Why are you Chef Dan?
Okay, so I am a professional chef by trade,
Okay.
and I've been that for 40 some odd years.
Wow.
At one point, or a couple of points in my life, I've been an instructor. So you always referred to your instructor as chef and then first name, and that
Sure.
was that. So, I mean, I had 25 years of teaching, kind of all stacked together. So there's actually more people I think in this world know me by Chef Dan than Dan Notley.
That's interesting. Do you have a specialty? Like, are you known for a certain style or
Well, I mean, I
thing?
was classically trained, so in European cuisine, so that's kind
Wow.
of where I kind of gravitate back to often. But you play with all kinds of food, and certain trends come up, and some of them are pretty cool, and
What?
others.
Now, is this something you still do? Is it a day gig or are you full-time Yelton?
Well, I currently work at a penitentiary here, or a detention center is what we refer to it here. It's um, it's one of those kind of retirement type jobs for me. Government pension, benefits, all that other good stuff. And
Yeah.
the schedule is a European style schedule, so it's 12-hour shifts, and you're 5 days one week, 2 days another week, so it's easy to get time off to do these train events. And
You're not in the cafeteria there, I
oh
assume.
God, no. Uh, um, but so yeah, I'm still an active chef. I still do that, and um, the company, the 3D printing that I do is one of those things that kind of happened.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that. I have a lot of
Yeah, we'll
questions.
get to it.
Okay. So going way back, I mean, how did you get involved in trains? Did you start out with the prototype and go into
So
modeling from there?
for me, it was I had an uncle who was really big in the model train hobby, and when I was young, um, back when the Chattanooga Choo Choo came out from Tyco, I think that was
Wow.
maybe my first real train set that my parents got me.
60s,
And
right?
hmm,
60s.
yeah, it was late '60s, early '70s, I think it
Hmm.
was. And so they got me that, and we had incident to go visit my uncle a couple times, and he had a layout that was 30 feet long, 12, 14 feet wide, around the room kind of thing. And he was a big brass collector too, so he had some of the most beautiful pieces going.
So this made
And
a instant big impression on you, I'm sure.
huge,
Yeah.
huge impression on me. In fact, it was funny. Years on, we became best of friends, and a lot of time met a big group of people. Got to go to Strasbourg became one of those places we went to on an annual basis
Wow.
with a group anywhere between as few as four and as many as a dozen would go down to Strasbourg in October pretty much every year. I think we managed to do that for 25 some odd years, and
Hmm.
you make some lifelong friendships. And
Oh, no question about it. I made friends at the very first proto meet that I went to that are still friends now. And
yeah,
that had to be what, 25 years ago, maybe? I mean, it's all a blur, you know what I mean? It's
well, that's because you're having fun, right? It just goes whizzing by,
absolutely.
and next thing you know, you're going, oh, and then you start thinking, oh, wait, that was 5, 6 years ago we did that.
But some of these people are on the podcast group. One of them is a guy who's now a grown man, has a family, high-end, high-tech job. And but when he came to that first meet, he was just a teenager. He must have
Yeah,
been 16 or something, you know what I mean? And we've been
but
friends ever since,
well,
so
the thing that, and the funny thing too is, or the thing I always found was, it didn't seem to matter how old I was. they always would listen to me and they would encourage me, and you know, they never kind of looked, because I was a young person when I started this,
Sure.
you know, there was always a very welcoming situation, and it was you were never discouraged from trying stuff, and you know,
I've looked like this for 30 years, so I mean,
I,
I don't know. I lost the hair early. So, do you have a layout, or did you ever get to build one for yourself?
yeah, I have a layout here at home. You can
Okay.
actually see it. I put a few videos up on YouTube if you just kind of look for Daniel Notley.
Okay. And you know what? Maybe after the show,
Yeah,
on the podcast group, do a little posting with some links to your website and some of your YouTube links, you know what I mean? And
yeah, for sure.
I think viewers would enjoy that. So,
Because I had a layout at my parents' place years ago, right? And it I experimented with it. I would try different scenic techniques. I would try all kinds of fun things, and then I got interested in electronics at one point, so the layout became computer controlled. So like the layout I have today is still using train controller to kind of bring it to life. And
is that using JMRI?
no, train controller is a standalone software. It's a German
Yeah.
company that manufactures it, and it's pretty cool. Like you have to, you know, to fully utilize it, you need to put detection in, and you know, and be able to recognize where your trains are.
Yep.
So to that end, you end up putting resistors into the train cars as well, as so you can detect, you know, the beginning and the end of the train.
Mm-hmm.
And my home layout, like I say, show you the videos later, sort of thing. Um, I modeled horseshoe curve, so it's a very condensed version of it. But again, it was one of those things
I think anybody's model of it
they
was
just do.
very
Right?
condensed, right?
Maybe one or two people out there that got, you know, living space big enough to build it, but
Right. Well, you need like an
um,
abandoned Home Depot or something, yeah.
pretty much.
And a
So
big wallet.
and so I built it so that I could kind of sit there and watch trains go by, because that's some of my fondest memories are a group of guys standing there,
Oh yeah.
you know, uh, doing that kind of stuff. So the layout has that, and it has it's a multi-deck thing with one big helix that takes you up and down. So
Yep.
it's
Actually,
a lot of fun.
that's kind of the way my layout is too. It's the whole basement and addition is one big helix, so
Yeah.
that, but it's a mountain railroad, right? So it kind of it
So
looks,
yeah, it makes sense, right?
and that's how you get from one level to the other. Although it's not for most of it, it is not a classic multi-deck where you have scenic scenes on both levels. So you
Right.
kind of take turns as to which area is being featured.
Oh, okay. So like for my layout, you know, I had a short list of things that I wanted to include, you know, a coal mine and an area on old ships, a steel mill, that kind of stuff.
Pennsylvania, you got to have coal,
You
right?
just kind of have to have it,
Right.
right? And I
Right.
have probably the most forgiving wife in the hobby as far as that goes.
I think all of us probably have to be able to say that, or
Well, I got to tell you,
someone
my
don't
lady's pretty
know.
special. She's
Now, I
encouraged.
met her, right? Wasn't she was at
Yeah,
the
yeah.
meeting? Yeah.
Deb was at NERPM. Yeah,
Yep.
she's encouraged me to put holes in walls. You know,
Wow.
um, and in fact, two of the biggest expansions of the layout are basically her fault, because she'd come upstairs, and the one time she knew enough. She said, "You don't have a yard." And I said, "Well, it was on the short list, but I couldn't fit it in."
Yeah. If you've seen my
And
recent postings, you'll know that I'm no stranger to making holes in walls either.
right, and and she literally pointed outside the room and said, "Well, couldn't you put it there?" And yeah, I could.
Sounds like
But
a keeper.
yeah, oh, she's amazing. So
My second wife is like that.
yeah,
She's a keeper.
she totally supports all this craziness that I do, and you know, she comes out to the train shows with me for the
Yep.
company as well. And
So I get the feeling that you're no stranger to technology and you're comfortable with it, obviously.
yeah, I'm pretty good with
I'm
it.
an IT guy. I mean, I have my own IT consulting company. I'm a technical project manager, theoretically.
Yeah,
In practice, I end up doing what is necessary. But I do enough of that as my day gig that the last thing I want is technology in my hobby, although it's hard to
right.
escape it, right? In my install business, that's a
Mhm.
very technologically related kind of a thing,
Oh
particularly
yeah.
as a Sound authorized installer and
Mhm.
all of that jazz. So I can't totally escape from the technology, but um, the minute people start talking about signaling systems, computer control, I just kind of go,
You see, I don't have a lot of space. Who does, right? And in my situation, it was always hard to get people to kind of come together for operating sessions because the individuals that I kind of chummed around with, they were builders, right?
Hey, guys.
So they're, always working on a new project or whatnot, but they weren't so much operators. And I like the operating side of it. So my answer to that, for a couple of reasons, one being, I'm not the smallest guy in the world, so and the layout is fairly tight spaces, so uh, it's a lot easier to press a button and watch the trains go by, and then I can still interact with it.
I got
So
you.
then the operating session becomes, me doing the local switching and trying to avoid the mainline freights and passenger
Gotcha.
and stuff like
The
that.
easy and facilitating the movement of people on in a layout op session situation. Like any forethought you put into that is probably time really well spent. And
Oh
you're
yeah, and I
gonna end
mean,
up with some pinch points, but if you're
yeah.
like one big pinch point, it's gonna be
Well, this is the thing, right?
wrestling
Like,
match.
there's not a lot of aisle space, and it just allows for that. And then the other thing too, funny enough, it led to one kind of a blip of a career change for me at one point. I kind of gave up cooking altogether, and I went and worked on a project up here called Little Canada. It's a model of Canada, and they're still building it.
Physical model of it.
It's Little Canada is the name of the thing, and it's in Toronto.
Okay.
And we built it in a couple of warehouses in Mississauga, and they've been adding destinations to it since. So when it finally moved to its final destination in Toronto, the commute just became impossible for me to manage. Like, I'm coming out of Niagara Falls,
Right.
and
I
we
mean,
moved.
what does it look like? What are we talking about here? I can't even imagine what we're talking about.
Um,
And if it's a picture share later, we'll do that. Okay, let's.
I don't have any pictures kind of queued to show you, sort of thing, but they do have their own website, their own Facebook,
Okay, throw
all
that
that
up in a link
stuff.
too
So,
when you do your group posting. But
yeah.
speaking of group postings, so this is kind of how I got to involved with Chef Dan here. I just pretty much completed my Foster Wheeler project, and I was talking about the need for uh, a pressure vessel, which is part of what they produce there. And people had a lot of different ideas about where I might source something like that. And all of a sudden, this guy pops up in my DMs and he shows me a picture. He said, "You mean like this?" And I said, "Well, kind of, except it's got to be, much longer." So he said, "What about if I double it?" And I said, "Okay, you got my attention here." And what did it take you? Like one evening or something? I mean, not even like
Yeah, I'm
you
pretty
just did
quick
it.
at this stuff, right? So
You just did it. Next thing you know, he's produced exactly what I'm looking for. And I'm saying, "Okay, how do I buy this?" So that's when we got back and forth a little bit. And I
mhm.
said, "This guy sounds like he would be an interesting guy to talk to on the podcast." So that's why we're here.
And
So,
it's little chance meetings like that
oh
that
yeah,
keep, that keep adding to the product line all the time, right? Like, I've got a fair sized group of friends in the hobby, and I'm a pretty creative guy as it is, but people are always kind of just throwing things out at me and saying, "Hey, have you ever thought of this?" And I'm like, "Oh, but I could."
I've got some ideas for you too.
Trust me, just throw them at me, because
Right.
it might not be the first thing that gets done, but it'll get done.
So, did you get started fooling around with 3D printing first before Yelton came to be? Like, give me a little history about how
Okay,
you got
so
going on this.
this project I was working on, Little Canada, right? They were using computer aided design and laser cutters and things like that. And
Okay.
I had two kind of thrust jobs within it in the initial stages. I was the guy helping to make the trains run because they were using the same kind of software that I use.
Okay.
So I had a good knowledge of that, and I could help facilitate that. And I did the large part of the scenery. One part the claim I would make is, if it's green, I touched it, sort of thing. And
Interesting.
so and it's massive.
How
We
did you
filled.
get hooked up with that originally? Like, did they
that's
find you?
that's a story in itself. But I walked into a local hobby shop, and the fellow that owned the shop said, "You have to call this guy." And at the time,
I love things that
I'm a
start that
chef
way.
instructor, right?
Yeah.
a busy guy doing that. I had my own
Sure.
catering business on the side. So, life was busy.
Yep.
And the fellow in the hobby shop said, you have to call this guy. And I said, well, I'm kind of busy.
Do I really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
really? He said, no,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
do it. I'm telling you, they're looking for you. I said, okay. So he literally pulls his cell phone out, his own personal phone, dials a number, hands it to me, and chap answers the phone. And I said to him, hi, my name's Dan Notley. I was told to call you. And he said, how? Well, give me a little bit more. I said, well, apparently you're building a large model display and you're looking to control it through computers. I said, have two layouts that are controlled by train controller. And
I know how to do all that.
and the next words out of his mouth was, you're hired. And it was the least amount of effort I've put into a job interview in my whole
Did
life.
this become an actual either full-time or part-time
Yeah.
job?
So I started out, I went to actually meet the people down there, and they're a fantastic group of people that, building this. And one chap was kind of bankrolling it in the beginning, and he had this vision to bring this thing to life. And then we built, some of the displays, and they got investors into it. They got it off the ground. And
Wow. Big project.
so it started off as kind of a 3 day a week thing. I would go in after school or,
Yep.
weekends. And it just got bigger, bigger, better to the point where there was a full-time opportunity. And so for 6 years, I stepped away from,
Wow.
what had been my career forever and a day, and did that full time.
How
And
much
it was
fun
great.
was
It was,
it?
honest to
Was
God,
it
I
like the
missed the
best
job.
job you ever had? I mean,
It was totally. The people were amazing. It was a whole group of very focused, switched on people. So the conversations every day were very
talented people.
Yeah, it was just fantastic. And
Yeah.
you got to go make magic every day. And
Wow.
the things that you were concerned about is, how do I make, we ended up doing a model of Niagara Falls, right, as part of it. So I ended up carving all the stonework and rock work of Niagara Falls out of foam. And like I say,
How did you do the water?
so what we ended up doing for the water was a projection. So I did foam carved for the rocks and everything like that. And anywhere where the water was going to be, it was left as the white foam. And then we put a skim of plaster like material over that. It's a little bit more flexible than that. And then there's multiple projectors that give the imagery for it. It's
Sounds really good.
It's amazing.
So
and
is that where you got introduced to CAD and 3D printing?
So I worked again with a great group of people, and I had some computer knowledge going into this, but one chap that worked there who was the lead designer, quite often we would share lunches and things like that. So that's where my previous career came in handy. So I would prepare these amazing lunches, and as a trade-off, he was teaching me CAD.
Okay, that's not a bad deal.
It was a pretty good deal at the end of the day. Everybody benefited from it pretty well. So I learned the CAD, and then the 3D printing became a thing while I was there as well.
Now, what CAD were you learning? Was it AutoCAD or something else?
So
SolidWorks or?
So I'm using Fusion 360 today, right?
Okay.
And I'm happy with that. I played around with Rhino. I've played around with what's the other one? I can't think of it. The AutoCAD based one is kind of the happy place for me.
Okay.
It's
If
things
you know AutoCAD, you can do that.
right? So, and then, like I say, the scenery was always a thing. So I was always a bit of an artist, a bit of a painter, and a sculptor. So transition from 2D to 3D wasn't a big leap for me because I can always see stuff in my mind before I do it. So
and if you're anything like me, if you can't see it in your head, you can't do it.
Yeah, and that's like as soon as I get my head around it, look out. It doesn't take me very long to create it.
I'm saying, and then get out of my way because now that I've seen it, I want to do it.
I'm okay with it. But where I get into trouble is when I get into highly mechanical things where, cog A is turning spool B and something else happens. Until I get that figured out, the making that happen always slows me down. So, I've done lots of different farm machinery and stuff like that, and met some fantastic people at, train shows and RPMs that, people will come up to me and ask me about, can you make something? And it's, well, I kind of, if you can help me with the research, that's the big part, right?
Sure. Well, you
And
also need good quality data on dimensions, right?
oh yeah, yeah. Like you, so that, you know, somebody brings something to me. What I ask them for is as many photos as you can get, and at least a few measurements in there.
Right.
And
You
truth be
can
told,
scale from known
you
dimensions.
can scale from that, right?
Right.
And truth be told, one good measurement can often get me far enough down the road to get you a
Really?
reasonable product.
Okay.
Many measurements are helpful.
I scale from photos a lot myself, and I usually use the 6'8" door as a pretty good
Yeah.
constant, you know.
Well, that was, I mean, I just made a model of Spring Creek's hobby shop for them. They handle my stuff throughout the continental US. And,
Yep.
you know, I get to as many shows with them as possible. So it was their 25th anniversary this year. So as a surprise for them, I made a model of their store for them.
Nice.
And the one guy that helps them, he was kind of my secret agent getting me the photos. Bruce was super. I talked to him back at the Colorado show and said, look, I want to do this for them. I've already talked to both Mike and Jeff about it. They kind of agreed in principle it would be neat, but they're busy guys, so they couldn't help me out too much. You know, what to do.
Who is
So, so Bruce was able to take all the different pictures for me, but the only real measurement he could give me was the front door.
Yep. That's all you
You know,
need.
I had that, and we went to town with it as far as that goes. So,
So
but it was
how many
a great
man hours went into the computer work to draw up that entire store? I mean, a lot probably, right?
yeah, I mean, I did it kind of.
Not that you did it all at once,
I
but
didn't do it in one shot, obviously, right?
are we
And
talking 20 hours, 40 hours, more?
100,
100 hours.
be about 100 hours for something as big as that. But you've got it's done kind of as components, right? So you've got the main building, then you've got annexes, and
Sure.
you know, and then just other detail parts and stuff like that. Like something like a small tractor, I can probably knock that out in under 20 hours.
All right. So I skipped ahead a little bit. So
Yeah.
you've got involved in this project. You're feeding this guy who's teaching you CAD. You're
Yep.
liking it. And at what point do you get, a 3D printer for yourself?
So the fellow that was teaching me CAD, he bought a 3D printer kit. It was a TiVo Tarantula that you had to assemble. And his premise was he wanted to have a CNC machine at some point. So really, aside from cutting head versus printer head, the mechanics are very similar as to how
Sure.
that works. So to get his head around that, he built that machine. When he got it built, he had no further use for it. He just wanted to learn.
Okay.
So at that point, it was a simple trade of I had a couple of different routers. I did a lot of woodworking as well for the project.
Yeah.
And he said to me about would I trade him? And I said, I'll trade you a router for the 3D printer all day long. And then it,
Pretty good deal.
well, it worked for both of us,
Yeah.
and it was a good starting point, a good learning point for me. So then I started kind of making things for my home layout.
What
Right?
was the first thing you made? Do you remember?
Pensy battery box, 509 battery box.
Really?
Yeah. Those are very first things that
What was unique enough about it that you wanted to make it?
it wasn't available. And I was doing a scene, and the scene just required that there should be a battery box.
No, you're not talking about on a locomotive. You're talking about those
Nope.
line side.
The line side
Yeah.
boxes, right? So
It's
and
a
again,
circular with a cover.
it's a rectangular thing with hinges and a top to it.
Okay.
And
The ones
so I
I've
mean, it's the
seen
kind
is
of thing that
circular. Yeah.
you could definitely scratch build it. Right?
Yep. Yep.
But then it's one of those
Find
things.
one.
That's the thing with 3D
Right.
printing, right? Like if you want one, it's scratch build. And now that's almost an argument at this point too for me because I've gotten pretty fast at the CAD work. So it's like I need one. It'd take me an afternoon and I got it. So
Right.
be the same amount of time invested.
It comes out perfect.
And repeatable.
Right. Right.
Right. Because then, so I started with that, and I did a few other just kind of railroady items, tie plates and spike pails, and just skids and stuff, and whatnot. And so I did it for myself first, and that was like 2015, 2016, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I had, chance again, this group of guys that I kind of hung out with, and brought it around, showed some of them. There was interest in it. Stopped by a friend who had a small hobby shop he was running in his basement. And the two of us got kind of teamed up initially, and started taking stuff to shows. And hey, here we go. And it just kind of got bigger and better all along. And
Now, at this point, it seems like, I mean, I'll bet if I said to you, hey, how many SKUs are in your line now? Do you have any sense of how many?
Oh, yeah.
How many?
I have 700 items,
Okay,
and that's largely just the HO line.
right.
So, and you can basically quadruple that, because I also do most of the stuff in N scale, and O and S, I can produce just the same. I just don't put it on the website because I'm also the guy doing the website. So it's a lot easier for me to just tell people, hey, if you want it, message me.
It's
Odds are I can make it.
basically a custom order at that point.
Yeah,
right?
it pretty much is,
I
right?
think the S scalers are used to that anyway.
Well, and you know what? Some of the most unique stuff is coming from that too. HO is always
making everything, right?
well, HO's always been really well supported, right?
Yep,
So
yep.
when it comes to N scale and the 3D printing, I can make 5. I don't have to tool up for hundreds.
Right. It's really changed everything. And the variety of offerings that I see from guys like you, 3D Central, I mean, there's a whole bunch of them.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
anonymous people on eBay making great stuff too. I mean, just the hardest thing is knowing what's available and finding it and knowing
Mhm.
where to get it from, frankly,
Yeah.
A lot of people at one time, before technology eclipsed them, were using Shapeways stores, right?
Yeah.
And you could get some amazing things on Shapeways if you could just find it. You know what I mean? That was like the trick.
Well, I mean, part and parcel of that is also why I kind of made it bigger, made it more, because I kept, every time I go to a train show, I would come away with a pocket full of ideas for more things to make, and you just
Sure.
keep going, right? And we're always open to, hey, give us a shout. So I, a couple times a week, the emails kind of got more than a few bits and pieces, and then, hey, have you considered, or what'd you think of? And
Right.
I've got it now. I'm at the stage where I've got a few customers that are, fairly regular repeat customers, and
Well,
the
they
one
know
fellow,
what you need and they know
yep,
how you do it. And
and how to get it done. And the one
right.
guy's an N scaler. He lives not too far from here, and I'll bring something out. And I usually HO is usually my starting point again. It's probably the biggest one.
Yeah, it's kind of how we think, I think.
And this chap's he's gotten quite funny about it. I'll get like a little message through Facebook, and he said, "I would very much like you to produce this in N scale."
And next thing, now it's
Yeah.
probably a fairly straightforward thing for you to
It's the
scale.
minimums. The minimums get to be funny. I did a model of the Berea Tower a few years back, and I was all proud of myself. I got it done. I got it painted up, put it out there, and say, "Hey, we're going to be at Berea." This was 3 or 4 years ago now,
Yep.
and put it out there. And the very first message I got, not that you're looking for accolades or anything like that, but it's always nice to be somebody to say, "Hey, that's cool." It's nice. The very first message I got was, "Can you do it in N scale?" And you just want to hang your head. Come on. So,
And I could see where certain details, as you shrink it down, start to kind of fuse together, don't they?
well, that particular,
Or get too fragile if you.
well, that tower, right? The stairs for it has railings that are in scale, basically 2-inch pipe. Okay.
Right, right.
So you can pull that off in HOs, no problem. And yeah, you can, take the software and shrink things down and just go for it. But you do run into mechanical limitations. So just for giggles, I happen to have a couple of days off, as it was when the message came through. And I thought, well, if it's interest, I'll give it a try.
Sure.
So, I went through the walls and whatnot of the kit, and found a couple of areas where I knew for sure it was going to be a thickness issue. So, okay, I can fix that. That's easy. But then the stairs and then these pipings, I'm looking at going, ah. So I hit print just for giggles, and the thing came out like a crushed spider. It was just, nah.
You'd almost have to do some of those things with an etching, right?
You, you just do.
Like a hybrid kit of some kind.
Well, I mean, it would be a nice thing to be able to add because there's definitely going to be a stronger product at the end of the day.
Mhm.
But I'll tell you, what I had to do to alter the drawing was 0.01 of a millimeter. That
That's it.
was the difference. That was print, no print.
Wow.
And at 0.01 of a millimeter, that was enough for those stairs to print perfectly fine.
So to prototype something like that, what's the printing time?
If something's about, so working with the resin printers at this point, if something's say an inch tall, that's a reasonable thing. You're looking at an hour, hour and a half print time. And at that point, it doesn't matter how much is on that build plate, whether it's 1 or 10 or whatever. It's based on height and layers, right?
Okay.
So what I'll tend to do is when I'm kind of working up a kit, I'll run some test prints and I won't just do one, I'll do 4 or 5 on the plate because there's luck involved as well.
Sure.
So yeah, you do it, it turned out perfect. Then you think that's the gospel, you go with it, and it turns out no.
So do sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't?
I've got that down to a point now where I can look at something and tell you pretty much what I need to do to make a change. In the early stages, I would have to just do a test print and then go back in the drawing. And so you're trying to keep fidelity there too. You don't
It's
want to
all
make
experience though, right? And
right. Oh yeah,
you've got plenty. So
oh,
how
yeah.
do you obviously you must have more than one printer, right? How many printers are you running?
I've got looking around there. I got 10 printers around me.
Printers.
Right.
I was down at Matt Herman's 3D Central, when was that? That was I guess that was right after the New England meet. And
Okay.
I continued on to my modeling area and then visited my old buddy Matt, who I've known since the early Loke Sound days. But I don't know if you've been to his place, but it is like in the middle of nowhere.
I haven't had a chance to get to his facility. I've seen some photos of it, and
Just enter nowhere on Google Maps and you'll
that's what you get.
I am telling you, the roads kept getting, more and more, questionable, let's just say.
Yeah.
Then I'm following a dirt road and then I'm apparently in somebody's yard and there was a guy in his yard and I said, I was looking for Matt Herms. He says, oh yeah, just over the hill. It's literally that kind of thing. But I noticed when I went to his place, he's got, I don't know, 20, 30 more printers. And it was like a sauna in there. I think he keeps it at 85 or something.
Yeah, the resin printer is kind of like a
get out of
warmer.
that room.
The resin printer is like a warmer temperature. If you can keep the viscosity more supple,
Yep.
then you get much better print success with that kind of stuff. So now a lot of the machines have heaters in them. So they're actually heating the resin for you. You're not relying on the ambient temperature so much.
Even for the after curing, or is that not an issue?
That's not an issue so much. It's during the print point. What you would not want to have happen is a drastic change in the ambient temperature in the room.
I see.
If your printer doesn't have some kind of heating mechanism, because if it gets too cold, then it doesn't set in the same way, right? And that's just something you don't want as far as that goes. But like I say, now the newest releases of printers, they have heated vats that kind of take that problem away. The other thing too is ventilation is really important with these.
That was going to be my next question, right? Because obviously there's fumes involved, right?
Oh yeah, there is. So air filters, fans. It's during the summer months, it's not such a problem because you can vent everything outside fairly easily just through windows and whatnot. But you really should have good extraction to.
Yep. So maybe we could do a little show and tell here, Dan, because you've got a very diverse product line, and I think we'd love to see some examples of the kinds of things that that you're producing. Start with something simple and original, and we'll work our way up if that's possible.
Okay. I'll play around with this a minute. Let me just grab.
So I think you can share your screen here.
Yeah, I got some.
I know it worked in the test.
Well, that's everything always works perfectly. When you're doing.
Well, we know it's possible, right? We'll just blabber a little bit until it actually happens.
So here's one. I kind of showed you this kind of beforehand. So like I said, I'm blessed with having some really good friends in this hobby, and they're constantly challenging me for things. Um, and one individual, well, that should get it for you.
There we go.
So farm equipment's one of those things I've been doing a lot of. The relationship with Spring Creek has been fantastic. The guys are, you know, they're out of Nebraska, so their marketplace, you know, is that kind of material. And because of that and conversations with the owners, we brought a whole group of different farm equipment. Well, along comes a buddy of mine who's a bit of a jokester, and he goes on about wanting this Hoyt Clagwell tractor, which was from the old Green Acres TV show. Um, so it was kind of a dare, if you will, or a push.
Yep.
So because of that, you go looking for a couple of photos. So this is one of the
it's actually also a nice painting and weathering job too.
Oh, thank you very much. Oh, that's this one. I'll show you that one in a minute. So I have a lot of fun doing the painting and weathering on the models myself, and the level of details, pretty outstanding what you can achieve with the resin printers as it is.
Right. But it's one thing I always wondered about is it's one thing. So, in conventional model building, sometimes you sort of pre-paint assemblies to make it easier to get the different colors that you need.
Yeah.
When it's one thing like that, I would think you're spending some time with real fine brushes.
Yep. What I tend to do with these kind of things is I'll do whatever the base color makes the most sense. And this is like a blue-gray, right?
Yep.
And then I just come back in with some small brushes and just detail paint it out, and away you go. Some of the kits that we manufacture, everything is done in much more separate pieces, but something like a small tractor like this, it's actually two pieces. The tractor seat is a separate piece.
The seat, just
the seat is a separate piece.
I would have, if you asked me to guess, I would have said the wheels, obviously.
Yeah, no, it's the seat. And the reason it's the seat was an old metal tractor seat is a really specific shape.
Sure.
Right? It's a whole lot of complex curves. There's holes in it. All this.
I would think the drawing of that would not be a trivial thing.
It's not. However, I do have a couple of different tools in the arsenal. I do have scanners, right?
Oh,
so
had some experience with that, but we'll get to that later.
We get to that too. But one of the other scanners I have isn't so much for doing figures, but it's great for doing mechanical stuff. And my daughter and I were out for a drive, and I happened to mention to her about wanting to do this tractor seat. She gets on Facebook Marketplace. Next thing I know, she's holding up a picture of a tractor seat. And she's like, "You mean like this one?" Yeah, exactly like that. And it wasn't, it was like maybe a 20-minute drive from where we were. She gets on the phone to the chap who had it listed. We drive the 20 minutes. She goes up, bangs on the door, hands the guy the $40. Here's your tractor seat. I'm like,
now you have a tractor seat that you can take home and scan. Now it's
exactly
to your wall somewhere.
Yep. Yeah. And that's why it's a two-piece thing.
Interesting.
And like the scanning changes some of the things. Like if it's mechanical or architectural, for the most part, I can draw it, no problem. But once you get into some craziness like that, again, a colleague of mine at work, she was at a medieval fair kind of thing.
Yep.
And she comes away with this water buffalo skull that she picked up. It's like, 2.5, 3 foot wide, horns, the whole 9 yards.
Okay.
Great looking piece, right? I looked at her and said, "Can I borrow that?" So yeah, it's
an eclectic product line.
Exactly, right?
Well, before you move on though, this piece you're showing me, is this an HO piece?
Yep, it's an HO piece. And I have
maybe 2 inches ish high.
Not even. It's not even.
So something like that, which looks pretty complicated, how long would that take to print?
Well, again, see, it's not really more than an inch tall.
Okay.
So at that point, something like that's an hour and a half, and it's in your hand.
Jeez. And you could probably print more than one in roughly the same amount of time?
Well, yeah, that's you're limited by the plate size. So a medium-sized printer, if you saw Matt's, right? He's got a lot of medium-sized Elegoo type printers there.
Right.
So something that size, I could print in one shot 8 or 10 tractors, no problem,
Yep.
right? I do another older style tractor. It's called a 1929 Rumley, and I just did that in 1/24th scale for a guy.
I need you to do a Nash Rambler, but I have no no dimensions.
Got pictures?
Yeah, I think I do. Yeah.
See, we're halfway home.
It's and why do I need that? The junkyard that's on my layout, that I modeled pretty faithfully, has a sort of like a girder kind of assembly on top of
Okay.
the main office with a Nash Rambler in it.
Oh, fantastic.
And it's very, very distinctive, you know what I mean? And nobody makes this model.
And this is the really cool thing with the 3D printing is, like I say, I can do 5, I can do 1. It doesn't really matter, right? I'd like to try, like a lot of the projects that I do, if I can see that there's um, a chance to sell more than a couple, I don't charge people for the drawing time because I figure I'll recoup it over time. I don't care.
Sure.
You know,
If it's a custom thing, obviously you have to check.
I've had one guy contact me the one time, and he wanted a train station done, and it would have been a pretty big project to do. He had one very poor picture,
Yeah.
black and white with no real details, no chance, and the building was, destroyed
Gone.
years ago,
Yeah.
gone. So it's not like, you could find good reference
And
for
a
it.
good picture would be found only after you've drawn it up.
Oh yeah, every time.
That's a given.
Every time. Yeah, it's the number of times I've released a product and then somebody goes, "Oh, you would have loved to have had these photos." And you just, I would have loved to have had those photos.
Yeah, I've been there and done that many times.
But
What you got here?
like you get through it, right? And like I said, there's only once where I kind of turned to a guy and I said, "Look, dude, I'm sorry, but I can appreciate that you would like this, but I can also see that if you bought, 2 Walters kind of city classics train stations and did some kit bashing, you could get pretty close."
Right.
And at that point, I explained to him, I said, like, I've never done a structure in less than 100 hours. That's kind of a thing, right? And that doesn't really matter how big the structure is. There's any amount of details in that. It takes time.
And even at $5 an hour, that's,
And that's not what I charge.
right.
you know. Um, so, and I said to him, it's like, if it's that important to you, sure, but I'm, not
Right.
going to do that to you. And it was the same thing too.
There's a garbage in, garbage out quotient to it. If you had a better
Well,
starting point.
there was a local hobby shop, again, this way. They had their 30th anniversary, and there was a train station he wanted a model of. It's a classic CP rail station, beautiful thing. And the building still exists, but it's been kind of moved from the tracks and changed into a set of offices, I guess, these days. Anyways, he wanted a model of that to celebrate his anniversary. And at the time I said to him, I said, well, happy to do it for you. I said, I'm just looking for a little bit of, what kind of numbers are you thinking here? Because it would be exclusive for your store. It's nothing,
Yep.
And he threw a number out at me. He said, I'll take 50. And I said, yeah, I like money and all, but I'm not that kind of greedy fool. I said, how about you take 25? So 25 makes sense to me. There's enough to it that it's worth my time. I can see you selling 25. And I said, and if you want more, I'll print you more. It's no problem.
Yep.
But,
That's fair.
Asking you to put 50, enough money up for 50 stations, and then you may end up getting stuck with it. That's fair. So,
right.
And unfortunately, I have that maybe not the best business sense when it comes to that, because I was a modeler before I was a manufacturer. So I have
No,
that.
but you know what? You treat people fairly, and there's always a benefit to that, I think.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, and I feel that very soundly with the stuff that I do. And ultimately, we made the 25 stations for him. He sold 24.
Yep. Well, there you
That's
go.
it.
You knew
There you
that
go.
with him. Now, I don't even remember if I asked you this before I painted my pressure vessel. Are you supposed to clean these in a certain way before painting when they come from you, or are you already doing that?
So from me, I've double washed them in IPA, right? So they come out of the resin vat. You've got to rinse them off. So I hit them twice with IPA to try to get as much excess off as possible, and then they're cured after that. Some of the models that I manufacture, I remove a lot of the supports to make it easier for the end user. Others, I have to leave them on for shipping as far
Yep,
as I.
yep. I had
So,
a fair amount of supports to remove from that little guy.
well, again, because there was a
It was
fair amount.
really easy, like it was much easier than I thought it would be.
Oh yeah. What I
I
try to
first
do when
looked
I
at it, it
set
was like, oh boy, this is going to take a minute,
that's
but it took like
really
5 minutes.
what I try to do is set the contact point as small as possible,
Right,
so that it comes away fairly easily, right?
right.
And then there's less possible cleanup that you have to do the model afterwards, because you might get a little dimple or something on some of those places. And I also try to put the supports in such a way that you don't really see them.
Right.
But as far as after the fact, it's never a bad idea to rinse any kind of 3D printed part, especially a resin part, in isopropyl alcohol again before you go to paint it. And that's only for the sake that if the supports are left on it, there may be little bits that didn't come out even in the
Oh,
second
sure.
wash, right?
Yep, yep.
So when you cut it away, and there you have it, even though it's been cured, if it's raw resin, it will still wash off. And
Makes sense.
you know, the other thing too is just physical handling of stuff. Your own oils from your body and whatnot as you're touching it.
That's
So,
more standard painting etiquette.
right. So I mean, it doesn't hurt to do that. You're not going to hurt the product by doing it. And
Yep.
um, the higher percentage of alcohol generally does a better job, but even at 70%, it will do a good job as far
Gotcha.
as that goes. And then for my stuff, I tend to use Vallejo acrylic paints for all the painting that I do. Um, unless it's white or yellow, I don't really bother priming the stuff because it's already starting off at a medium gray.
Sure.
And the acrylics stick to it really well. So,
Yeah, I mean, I grabbed my can of fire engine red spray paint
yeah.
and stuck a twig in the bottom of it and painted that thing right away.
And
I don't
and
remember
this,
if I rinsed it or not, to be honest.
well, and to be fair, you really didn't have to. I do try to make it again modeler first, right? So you try to think, okay, if I bought this thing, one, how much would I want to pay for it?
Right.
And then two, how much work do I want to do to get to the end result? Because initially I was doing a lot of this stuff and it was multiple pieces and it was a whole lot of assembly for the end modeler because that was the mindset.
Sure, you're building a kit.
Right. So then the more I looked at it, the more I thought about it, was, well, I don't have to do that with this though.
Right. Right.
And most of the things that you're making, the reality of it is it's going to end up blending into a scene, or it could just be something that's like in your scrapyard or something like that. So the reality of that is, do you really care that it was 100-piece little model that you started with?
Right. Right.
you
I
know
mean,
or,
there are
or is
things
it
that you build sometimes you want to just build it for the fun of it, like a rail yard models freight car,
oh yeah,
perfect
this is the
example.
thing, right? But nobody has the time to make every model that way if they have that.
Let's just say I'm glad Tangent brought out the X58 as well, right? So exactly. What was I going to say about that?
I'm going to
Let's see
flip
a
a couple.
couple of examples why I try to regain my.
I'm going to say I'll flip through a couple of things for you. There's a tractor. So this little station here, this is Arden Station. It was an Erie station, and it kind of got misused, and it then became like a postal stop, and then it got completely kind of disused as the interstate went through. And just this is one of those things. There's a Rumley too. This is one of those things. Again, was on a Zoom call with a group of friends one night, and the conversation kind of went down the road, and all of a sudden, one of the guys in the group just his eyes just glowed, and you're like, "Wait, you can make something from a photograph?" Like, yeah, kind of what I do. And he said, "Oh, I really would like to have this Arden thing." So I said to him, "I said, well, you know, where where is it? Where do you want to put it? And can you find me some pictures?" And he did. So,
So I assume the electrical service and the oil tank are separate items and are
yeah,
probably other parts you offer, right?
yeah, those are things that they come in the kit, obviously, but you do have to add those ones on,
Yep.
and even the bench,
The oil tank looks really good.
right? Um, get back to you. Just want to show Wasn't sure if you were seeing this one or not. So this was, here we go.
Ah,
Okay. So
that's a
this is
pretty good modeling photo, actually.
exactly. This is one of the photos that one of the guys in the group was able to dig up for me and send it to me. So now you've got, a vehicle in there for scale.
That's
You've
a
got a
Pinto,
real,
isn't it?
yeah, I think it is, yeah. I
Did you do the bench too?
did. Yeah, yeah, the bench is part and parcel of it. So,
Wow.
um,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a really good modeling photo.
So it aided it to,
You're probably familiar with the Southern Tier Model Works guy, all that grain, all
yeah.
he does that. When I think of all the heavy lifting I did to kit bash all of my grain facilities, and boy, would I have liked some of those components back when I was doing
Oh yeah. And
those.
then, so like, from this kit, you end up with like the Erie bench, which is, something that I do separately now, but it's part and parcel of the kit. So this, I just threw this together just to kind of show scale with the vehicle
Yeah,
and all
no, it
that.
looks right.
And it's a great little station.
And all
And
you
like I
do is
said,
paint it.
yep. And in this instance too, the four walls are already together.
Right.
And the roof is a separate piece. You just drop it on. So like the
Oh,
metal
okay.
roof, right?
Okay.
So
So that way, if you want to do an interior or something, you can.
exactly,
Yeah,
right.
that
You
makes
have
sense.
that option, um, and I again try to think of that kind of stuff, like some of the towers that I've done. If I can get shots of the interior, I will do my best to give you at least a base interior that you can work from, because a lot of times the railway towers tend to be line of sight by the rail, and depending on your modeling, you get that opportunity to kind of peek in the tower. So
Sure, sure. Let's see some other examples.
let's see what else I got kind of queued up here. Oh yes.
Ah,
So this is again, this is one of those. I was at work one day, and my colleague at work just kind of out of randomly said to me, he said, "You ever do like a fan boat and an alligator?" And I just kind of looked at him because he's not a modeler by any stretch of the imagination. It was just something that
not yet, but stand by.
kind of randomly popped into his head. So
Hold my beer.
yeah, exactly. Long thumbs this. Um, and again, it was one of those things. Like, you know what? Like, people model the Florida area, and I hadn't really seen a model of this before, and so it went. This here is that's the
Your
1929 Rumley.
your other tractor.
It's the other older tractor that we do, and
Yeah.
this was again a friend of the family. His father had this tractor, so it meant something to him. He had all the data for me, and off it went. Right, so you get this kind of stuff. This is a tower that we just brought out for St. Louis. We launched it. This is UD Tower out of Illinois,
Ah,
and I brought out. We've done Alto Tower, we've done Marion, Berea, we've done. Um, so I met this guy.
there's no
Back,
shortage of subjects.
oh no, and again, people are super. I have 5 plans for B&O towers that were gifted to me.
Wow.
Um, so they're on the short list to happen.
And if
And
you
this
have
again is just the
plans,
whole
that's gold.
right. And but this again, chap approached me and he said, always wanted blah blah blah. Would I consider? And I said, well, yeah. I mean, again, I don't know the area that well. I don't know the interest of it and the whole bit. And what's that? Fordson again. Anyways, the guy, in the next breath, he says to me, well, there's 4 of us that would buy it if that helps.
It's a start.
So I said to him, I said, well, that's enough for me to say, yeah, you know. So, there's the back side of the tower
Oh, cool.
there as well. And so the way the kit was put together, the bottom section is its own piece. And then the next 2 floors is a section as well. So if you buy it and you don't want to have to build it into a hillside, well, you don't have to.
Gotcha. And the railings are add-ons?
The railings are separate. So yeah, they come, it's 3 pieces basically gives you that.
Yeah.
And, so again, easy assemble, easy paint, and it's a reasonable representation of the model, as far as that goes.
Yeah.
Pop out again a minute here. Let's see what else I can find it. It's fun. Oh yeah, so this is definitely one I have to show you. Where'd you go? Yeah.
Here is the
So
anticipated.
there's Spring Creek. So
Wow.
that's their hobby shop, right?
I see what you mean about the add-ons.
So you basically you've got 3 smaller buildings, a large building, and then awnings and whatnot. So then, as part and parcel of that,
What did the owner say when he saw this?
we actually have a video recording of that. My wife has it. I don't have it available here to show you now, but he was moved.
I'll bet.
He was because it was a total surprise for him, right?
They're located where?
So they're in Deschler, Nebraska.
Okay.
So, and it's kind of funny because if you look at a map of the United States and kind of threw a dart at the center of it,
There it is.
you pretty much hit Deschler.
Yep.
So, as part of the kit, I included all these figures as well.
Yep.
In fact, you're in there as well.
Is that me right in the middle?
You're right there in the middle.
That's hilarious.
So, so on the left hand side, that's Mike and Jeff Zucker, and then there's George Bogota in the purple, Bruce, who's again the fellow that got me all the photos, and then Dev and Dave. Then it's yourself. There's Paul Ellis there. Behind the fellow with the camera, that's Vince. Is John Sacerdotes there, and Ray Arnott's there.
That's amazing. Amazing.
So,
and apparently, I am told you can go to your website and buy me.
yes, I actually.
It's the perfect gift.
Everybody needs one, right? And like, and for fun, like there's Paul Ellis done as a
okay,
right. He wanted a trophy.
That's what is that? O scale?
No, this is like 6 inches tall.
Oh, okay.
This is much bigger than that. He wanted a way to tease his boss, basically. So he got one of those. I think he's sending it to him so he can always be in his boss's mind. But yeah, all kinds of fun with it.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So when somebody goes to your website, I don't know if you want to pull it up, and maybe we just show people what it looks like.
Yeah, I can do that.
Because again, like I was saying earlier, my difficulty is, and maybe I'm just, being a pain in the neck, but it's hard to find what I want. You know what I mean? I just want to zero in on what I want and get in and get out, and I have not done that on your site. So I'm curious to know, to see how it goes. Because you said you designed the site as well?
Yeah, it's through a company, a provider known as Wix.
Oh, sure. Yeah. They're the back end.
So they do the back end of it, and I get to play with it a little bit as far as that goes. I don't know if I can just show you the website so much because it would end up being an entire screen share.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you're not, because you're using your browser for this.
Exactly.
Right. I got you. All right. So we won't do that right now. I don't want to put you on the spot, but you have you have 700 SKUs. So I mean, I assume it's broken down by category somehow.
Yeah. So I mean, it's broken down, by structures and details and things like that. And then I have a new product section, so it's always fun just to go check there because that's, and I, 2 to 3 products a month tend to come out. There's a little bit of a wiggle right now because there's a tariff that may or may not be coming into effect by the end of the month.
Yeah.
It's the de minimis exemption, basically.
Sure. So China.
So I don't know how that's going to affect business at this point as far as that goes. So I kind of slowed down a little bit on the things I was throwing out there.
But your fulfillment, you said, was through Spring Creek for the US?
So then it just becomes what it's going to take from.
Unless you want a custom pressure vessel.
Well,
that came straight from you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So they maintain an inventory of your stuff.
It is. So Spring Creek has a fair inventory of my stuff, and we ship to them fairly regularly. as to how it's going to affect the price going forward, I don't know yet.
Right.
And
Nobody does.
nobody does,
It's
right?
whatever,
So
it's whatever mood, well, I don't want to get into that, but
no, this isn't the forum to discuss that here at
right.
all. But I mean, the sad part is you're looking at something that's been on the books since 1938 as a way to encourage back and
Right.
forth trade, and it's a shame that it
Yelton
even.
Models doesn't need to be applying tariffs to
Well, and that's the
printing a
thing.
fee.
Ultimately, I don't think it's even me that ends up doing it. So
Right.
who knows? So until it actually washes out, in a week or so I can give you a better answer. But right now it's like,
Right, but we should order right now to
oh yeah,
avoid
well,
disappointment.
yeah, I think we got what, like 3 days, 4 days before the cutoff at this point. So
Is that what it is? So it's not even the end
yeah,
of the month.
it's looking like if things aren't in by say the 25th or 26th of August, then depending on how it all plays out, I don't know if, and again, nobody does. This is just me speculating, but
Yep.
I think ultimately what ends up happening is, we make a declaration of the value as we send it. It gets through to the U.S. Postal Service, and then somebody's going to come knocking on your door saying, "Hey, I got a parcel for you, but you're going to have to pay this much more because it's this much money." And it ain't my fault. So, you know,
Yep. We won't get started on that, but
now, well,
you can
it
probably
is
guess.
what it is.
Yeah.
We're going to do everything we can to minimize the effect of the customer for sure.
Yep.
And I'm hoping that I can come up with a good solution so I can keep Spring Creek well stocked, and then that takes care of the whole shooting match, really, because
Sure.
that you
Sure.
can order direct through them, and you won't get dinged for it so bad. So,
Now you also do you sell at shows?
so when I travel to the States, I'm with Spring Creek.
Okay.
They have my product. I go to represent the company. Um, you know, I don't handle money. I don't any of that.
So that was Spring Creek at any RPM? Okay.
That was me at any RPM for fun.
Okay.
I didn't sell or do anything there other than scan some friends.
Yes,
Right.
we should talk about that a little bit.
So,
I because Dan and I hadn't met each other in person yet, but I knew he was going to be at the show.
mhm.
And I was talking to Dave Owens, and he says, "Oh, you got to meet Dan. You got to come over here and get scanned." And I said, "What?" And then when I went over to where you guys were scanning people,
Yeah.
watched the process, and I thought, "What the hell are they doing here?" But I quickly kind of caught on to what was happening, and then the next thing you know, I'm standing there being scanned, and
Oh yeah.
it was an interesting experience because you have to stand there for like 5 minutes and not really move much.
It's pretty much it, right? Like, because I can just bring you up here and show the universe.
Jeez.
So there's other people out there that do scanning of individuals, right? I sure as heck didn't invent it, but I've been
You
doing
have
it.
a full line of figures.
I do.
Okay.
We've
Are
got
they
a
all
couple hundred.
based on real people though?
Oh yeah, yeah, they are. They absolutely are.
Well, I would think with the number of shows you go to, you've got a pretty good cross section of people I know.
So I end up going to a few shows a year with the Zuckers, and what I end up doing is I don't scan at every show.
Okay.
I kind of randomly do that. So there you are.
Boy, that's definitely the Mike posture, all right.
Right? It's got that certain kind of lean to you. So there
You
you
got
are.
the Mike punch there,
And,
unfortunately.
well, so this is the one thing I've decided I think I'm going to do going forward. I'm going to go find a couple of bodybuilders and a couple of supermodels. I'm going to scan them. So then I'm going to offer you the superhero pose or the
Yeah.
calendar
Well,
pose
I
sort
am
of
a
thing.
prototype modeler, so I mean that
You know?
is me.
So then we just end up lopping your head off and putting it on.
That's 69-year-old me, unfortunately.
So, but so my premise with the whole scanning of figures is this though. I never charge people for the actual scan, right? At the end of the day, I do ask you to sign a waiver so that I can sell you.
Yep.
And ultimately,
What do I cost, by the way?
as an HO figure, you cost $5.
Okay.
As an O scale figure, you cost $10, and that's Canadian, so yeah, it's pretty cheap.
Yep. Yep.
And again, from a modeler's point of view, I looked at this kind of stuff and I thought, well, you can't buy a Prizer figure for less than $5. you can't. No, yes, you do have to paint mine. Sorry. But then it also gives you the opportunity to buy many of yourselves and put different paint schemes on yourself, and you could be all over the place.
You really had a good color on the faded Blue Jays there. I thought that was like spot on.
I think I hit it good. You know? But like you were talking about Dave Owens earlier, he models fire trucks, right? So I scanned Dave 2 years ago in Massachusetts, right? And I'm in the middle of creating a group of firefighters, but they're all Dave Owens.
That's great.
So, you know, it's going to be
You can
him.
have a whole company of just Dave.
It's going to just be a company. It's going to be Owens Fire Company when I get it done. And
I might need one of those myself.
you know, and again, he's a friend. I'm doing it for him for fun. And if somebody else wants it down the road, sure, whatever. It's the giggle of it, right?
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, if you know that I'm going to be at a show and I'm going to be scanning, you know, flip me a message and I'll scan you. Don't care.
So not to be narcissistic, but has anybody bought me?
Well, to be fair, you like I say, you're in all the Spring Creek kits, so there's a few of you out there already, right? Lurking.
That's hilarious.
And
do you say who the cast of characters is in the instructions?
I didn't say who they were in instructions. I just said notables within the hobby. This is how I put it within there, just for fun.
You do how many US shows a year? Like 8 or 9 more?
So the actual train shows I try to get to Amherst. We got out to Colorado this year. That was the first time doing that, and that was a bit of a drive, but a lot of fun. My wife and I. Again, my wife's crazy. She loves doing this kind of stuff with me, right?
Yeah.
And off we went. So probably 6 or 7 shows. We got to Milwaukee last year for Train Fest. We'll be down in Altoona for the N Scale show coming up in September, and then Berea.
Will you do Malvern, the Valley Forge meet in March?
I haven't done that one yet, but I'm not opposed to doing it, right? I'm kind of looking for. So here's the thing, right? Like if I'm going to a train show, it's going to be something that Spring Creek's going to be at.
Okay.
Right. It makes the most sense to me because then,
of course,
my products are there for sale, and it just like again, not to get into it, but for me to pack my car up with stuff and drive across the border and try to sell it, that's just not a happening thing.
Nope, not worth it.
The way the business laws are set up are not conducive to the small businessman being successful in that situation.
Right.
So Spring Creek's there. They got my product line. I like to go and meet and greet, and some of the best people I met in the world. You know, we're at St. Louis 2 years ago, and I brought out a big combine, and this guy came up, and he was super excited because he's an N scale modeler, and I'd done the combine in N scale, and I guess apparently nobody had done one. Super happy. And he then started that conversation with me. He said, would you consider making another one? Sure. Be happy to. I mean, it's just about the research, like I say. I said, if you can provide me with some photos and some measurements, I said, I'd be more than happy to put it in the production line. I can't tell you how fast it'll come, but it'll probably be before the end of the year, if that, I mean, which I think is a pretty fair return.
So you have a several month backlog, say.
If something was super important to me, I could have it done within a few days if there was a necessity to it. But I've got 5 or 6 projects.
So it's who you know.
It's a little bit of that too. I'm not going to lie. Like,
yep.
You know, if somebody's out there and they're asking for something that nobody makes, and, you know, I've, you know, followed you through Facebook for some time, and I thought this chap seems pretty cool. And if I can help him, I'm happy to do so. So, yeah. You know, that's why I messaged you, and I thought, you know, I didn't want to come off as anything other than just this guy making train stuff for people, you know.
Right.
And hopefully that's the way it came up, you know.
Oh, well, I mean, the first DM from anybody is like, okay, who's this? What does he want?
Right. Well, yeah, right. Like, and that was, you know, obviously not my intent. It was more to try to be helpful, and hopefully it was received.
I sussed that out immediately. So.
You know. So then
notice it's on my layout now.
So this chap, though, you know, exchange addresses, all that other fun stuff. 2 weeks later, I get this box mailed to me, and it's a stack of brochures for this combine that he'd collected for all of the years that the thing was made. And he sent me, must have been 400 photographs, like his personal stuff in a box, fired it off. Now, this is some guy that he met in St. Louis for all of 20 minutes
He could have never seen you again and lost all of his stuff.
and lost all of his precious mementos, right? And I thought, wow, like maybe it's the beard, it's the Santa Claus thing. I don't know, but
It's
it,
that Canadian polite thing.
it could be. But the fact that he had the faith in me to follow through on my word, it meant a lot. It really did.
Of course. And it also
you
makes you feel like responsible to, do it
Yeah.
right. And
like now I'm taking this project on, and I'm trying to not do poorly by it for his sake, because it's something he's really interested in.
right.
So ultimately we got the thing made and come up with 4 versions of it because he wanted all these different versions as well. But sure, I'll do it. I don't care. And I saw him later that year. He came up to Milwaukee, and I happened to get to Milwaukee that year. And he and his wife, sweetest people in the world. Super thankful, super grateful for everything. And in the meantime, I'd mailed all his precious things back to him.
Sure.
But I made a friend. I made something for him, made him happy, and his wife, messaged me after the fact saying, "You just absolutely made his year."
So, and in the model railroading community, I don't think, compared to a lot of hobbies, it's like a giant pond, right?
Mhm.
So, you want to be cognizant of the kind of ripples you're making in that pond, because
it's the
everybody's
whole
got to know.
6 degrees of separation thing, right? Like the number of people I've met, I laugh because for years you go down to Amherst, you go to the big train show down there. So for us, it's like a 5.5, 6 hour drive. You get there.
Yeah.
I walk in the train show, monstrous buildings, a whole bit, and I turn around. The very first person I see is a guy that lives an hour's drive away from me. I'm like, seriously, Bill? Like, there's
You run, but you
25,000
can't hide, Yelton.
25,000 people here, and here you are. Like, what the?
Yep.
Yeah, the hobby's big and small all at the same time. And
Yep.
like I say, I just feel for myself, I try to be as fair and honest with people as I can. I try to do what I can if I can. And like I say, when I got into doing the figures, part of it was I wanted to create a library of people. That was my focus for it. Because
one of the things I found about this hobby is you can do like a random act of kindness or favor, or just like something you don't even think anything of. And next thing you know, you got a friend for life out of it.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like one of those things, one of those rare things that the more you put in, the more you get out of it,
Like last year in Milwaukee, I met a chap. He comes up to me, and again, you get those kind of feel good moments sort of thing, right? He comes up to me and he said, and for him, it was a couple hours drive to get there, and navigating through Chicago is no fun, and all the rest to get up to Milwaukee. And he comes up to me and he's got a sweatshirt on Gleaner, so he's a Gleaner mechanic. This guy. He said, the reasons I came here to the show today were these 2 products, and he picked up the one big combine I made and another farm implement that I made. And I said, that's the reason I came. Really? Are you kidding me? Wow. Because again, Trainfest is not a small thing. There's a whole lot to be seen and enjoyed and potentially purchased.
This guy zeroed in on that, though.
He zeroed straight in, came straight to me, and ultimately, because of what he does for a living, he's a mechanic. He works on these things, and his family also has farm equipment. He's, because of him, a manure spreader came out of it. Another combine came out of it. More and more and more. So now, we friended each other on Facebook, so the conversations grow, and he has easy access to these things, and he's more than happy enough to help me.
Measurements are not a problem.
Exactly. And like we were back in Nebraska in July. It was the 4th of July weekend, and Dave Zucker kind of took us for a drive around a couple of days after. We go by this one house, and there's 15, 16 tractors literally out and around this guy's property. Beautiful farm all stuff, right? So my wife and I go back the next morning and kind of get out of the car, and okay, we're trespassing, and taking photos, measuring the whole 9 yards. The guy pulls up in a black pickup truck and says, well, I'm either making a friend or I'm going to jail. It's one or the other.
Right.
I'm going to try, right? Fella, can I help you? I said, explained to him kind of what I did and what I was doing, and I, applauded him for the beautiful collection of things. So he goes on to tell me, we had 7. Yeah. with 7 or 8 of them running over the weekend. The family was driving around. You want to take one for a drive? Go ahead. I'm like, that's beyond my scope, but wow. He says, you want to go in the barn? Go ahead. You want to see my newest one? It's over, at this barn. The barn's open. Go on. I was like, what? So, consequently, I get some of the greatest photos and, 15 or 16 more tractors now in the development stage. Because there's like more photos of my poor wife standing there with a measuring stick going, it's this big. Right. And she's cool to help me with it. But there's a whole bunch of farm equipment that is going to happen because of, a chance meeting and a little bit of kindness and a little bit of conversation. And he's not a modeler. Right. He just has a passion for collecting these things. But
he kind of gets it because of the ability to have passion in something.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing you don't sleep much.
Yeah.
I know the type.
Yeah, well, I'm in trouble.
High energy guy.
If I get something inside my head, I'm not sleeping till I burn that out, right? So if
you ever find that you dream a solution to something? Sometimes I wake up in the morning and I go, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole waking dream thing is real, and
the mine is still going. Well, listen, Dan, I really appreciate you coming on. I know that we had a little bit of a rescheduled problem, but I hope it was worth the wait. And hopefully we'll see you in Valley Forge in March. You look into it. It's a great meet.
I don't know if I'll get there or not, but I'm going to have a boo at it. I say I managed to get up to Massachusetts. We got to St. Louis.
Will you be back in New England next year?
Should be.
Okay.
Yeah, that one's like I say, there's a group of friends of mine. A lot of them are kind of based out that way, and we have a Zoom meeting on a Sunday night.
Yep.
That's my chance to actually get to see these guys and chum around. Like when you came over and we were scanning, that a lot of that group of people was a group of people that become really good friends.
Yeah, it did seem like old home week there.
I got to tell you, like, most welcome thing ever. And you asked me questions about how about the border earlier, and it's kind of funny because you pull up from our point of view, you pull up to the border, you hit American Customs, and where are you going? What are you doing? That kind of stuff. And as soon as you say the words model and trains, they just kind of look at you like, just go.
No longer interested. That's very interesting.
You're definitely not a threat to national security in any way, shape, or form.
Well, maybe I don't know how your schedule is at that meet, but if you want to come see the layout or something before or after the meet, let me know and we can see what we can work.
Very much love to.
About, 2 hours.
Again,
give or take. It's not much.
That's not a horrible drive to see something really cool. So I'd love the opportunity. So that'd be great.
Consider yourself invited.
Thank you very much.
All right, Dan, until next time, thanks everybody. And we'll be trying to do the podcast a little bit more frequently moving forward. It's always my intent, but we'll see how it goes. I think the fact that I never got to really retire, because when you're in business for yourself, what is that? And I underestimated the time load of 4 grandchildren in various points of the compass. So
you want to enjoy those.
Absolutely. They change every time you go down there. So you have every incentive to keep doing it. But, obviously it makes an impact. So, but I enjoy it. It's great talking to guys like yourself. Thanks, everybody. And maybe I'll see you at the next show, Dan. You never know.
Okay. Thanks so much.
All right.